بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. This is the revision of the final exam. Let's start with the choices. Referring to Newton's second law, the relationship between mass and acceleration is... Okay, first of all you have to draw or write the formula A equal F over m. A equal F over m. So what's the relationship between acceleration and mass? Inversely, one of them in the numerator, the other in denominator. So inversely proportional relationship. So A. Referring to Newton's second law, the relationship between force and acceleration. F equal what? F equal m times A. So the relationship between force and mass, direct relationship. So directly proportional relationship. In the absence of air resistance, the path of projectile is parabola. A dog walks 28 steps north to burn a bone. So 28 north. Then it returns to the same point. So it returns to the same point. What's the net displacement? Not distance, displacement. So of course this will cancel this one because they are equal and opposite each other, so will be 0. Okay. Which of the following shows the correct resultant of the figure on the right? So you have dx to the right, dy to the north. So you have to start from the tail, head. So B. Units that measures mass, what's the unit of mass? Kilogram, easy. Unit that measures weight, what's the unit of weight? Is Newton, because weight is force, Newton. Okay, a single force acting on an object is represented in a free body diagram of the object by the following vector, or force vector is upward. The force is upward. Which of the following force vectors represent a single force acting on the object that will bring the object into equilibrium? So anything down will be equilibrium. So C will cancel this one. But if the arrow was to the left, so you have to choose to the right. So the left arrow will cancel the right arrow to be equilibrium. What do I mean by equilibrium? They will cancel each other. Okay. 10. A Newton is equivalent to which of the following quantities? So Newton equal what? Equal mass times acceleration, if you remember. Force equals mass times acceleration. So what's the unit of mass? Is kilogram. What's the unit of acceleration? Is meter per second squared. So C will be correct. Okay, the relationship between kinetic and static. So always static friction is more than kinetic friction. So A. What are the units of coefficient of friction? Coefficient, do you remember coefficient is mu? Coefficient of friction, either mu K or mu S. Both of them, there is no unit. Why? Because, for example, mu S equals Fn over Fs. Sorry, Fs over Fn. Fs over Fn. So Fs, which is force, the unit is Newton. Fn also force, which is Newton. So they will cancel each other. So there is no unit. So D. Coefficient of friction has no unit. Okay, what's the unit of kinetic and static friction? Static friction and kinetic friction. Friction is force, so will be Newton. N. Coefficient is no unit, but friction has unit, which is Newton. Okay, in the free body diagram shown in the right or to the right, Which of the following is the gravitational force acting on the car? Which one is gravitational force? Don't forget, gravitational force is always downward. So 14,700 Newton. This is gravitational force. Okay, let's come to the true or false. True or false next to each sentence. The normal force acts perpendicular to the surface. Yes, normal force acting or acts perpendicular to the surface, right angle, 90 degrees. Normal force acts parallel to the surface. No, this is false. Air resistance is a form of friction. Yes, air resistance is a form of friction. Newton's first law, sometimes referred to as the law of inertia. Yes, first law, inertia. Yes. Third law refers to inertia. No, it's wrong. Not third law or second law. It is first law. Velocity measurements differ in different frame of reference. Yes, the velocity is different from different of frame of reference. 7, velocity measurement the same in different frame of reference. No, wrong. It's not the same. Different. Okay, in action and reaction pair, which is third law, acts or action force and the reaction force are equal in magnitude and act in the opposite direction. Yes, equal and opposite. Equal and opposite. 9 is saying equal and the same direction. No, they are not the same direction. They are opposite directions. So this is wrong. The length of a vector arrow represents the magnitude of the vector. Yes, according to the length, it refers to the magnitude. If you have high magnitude, you have to draw longer arrow. If you have low magnitude or low number or value, you have to draw shorter vector arrow. Okay, scalars are represented by bold-face symbol, while vectors in italic symbols. No, this is not correct. Vectors are represented by bold-face. Yes, while scalar in italic. Yes, this is correct. Field forces can be exerted by an object that are in contact. No, field force, this is not contact, or we can say distance. So in contact, no, this is contact force, not field force. So this is wrong. Field forces can be exerted by objects that are not in contact. Yes, that are not in contact. This is field force. That's true. Friction opposes the applied force. Yes. Friction opposes the normal force. No, it's not correct. Okay, this is a say question. What are the 3 ways that forces change motion? You have start moving, stop moving, change direction. Here you have some quantities about vector and scalar. So vectors, you have displacement, velocity, force, acceleration. If you divide vector by scalar, you results in vector. If you multiply vector by scalar, results in vector. While scalars are distance, speed, time, the duration of the flight, the duration of the class, and mass, volume. If you divide the scalar by scalar, results in a scalar, and the number of students, the number of people, the number of passenger, all of these scalars. Here you have the types of forces. What are the types of forces? You have contact force. Example, push or pull something. Field force, you have 3 examples for field force. Electric force, gravitational force, and magnetic force. This one, how to draw a free body diagram on an object that are moving or that's moving at a constant speed. So Fn should cancel Fg, and F applied should cancel Fk. So this is at equilibrium. So they are moving at a constant speed. Okay. This is, which of these you have to write here? Is it with air resistance or without air resistance? So the first one, the orange one, this is with out, without a resistance, so that it goes further, without. And the blue one is with a resistance, with a resistance. This is with a resistance, and this is without a resistance. Without a resistance, and this is with a, no, this is incorrect, no. This is vice versa. This is without a resistance. Why it's without? So that it goes further. And the last one, or the blue one, is with a resistance, so that it cannot go further. Here you have some questions about identify the action and reaction pairs of the following. A person takes a step, so what's the action? Its foot pushes the ground. The reaction is the opposite. The ground pushes the foot. Snowball hits someone in the back. What's the action? Snowball hits the back. The reaction, the back hits the snowball. The baseball players catches a ball. What's the action? Hand exerts a force on a ball. Reaction, the ball exerts a force on a hand. A gust of wind strikes a window. The wind exerts a force on a wind. The window exerts a force on the wind. Here we have quantities and their units, SI unit. So what's the unit of displacement and distance? Meter. What's the unit of velocity and speed? Meter per second, not squared, meter per second only. Force, Newton. Acceleration, meter per second squared. Mass, time, second. Mass, kilogram. Weight, Newton. Kinetic friction, Newton. Static friction, Newton. Coefficient of friction, no unit, has no units. This is about projectile motion. You have to complete the box. Vertical motion, Y motion, the velocity is changing, while the velocity of horizontal is constant. Acceleration in vertical is negative 9.81. Acceleration in horizontal is 0 meter per second squared. Here you have two concept maps. Vectors have both direction and magnitude, while differ from scalars, which have only magnitude. Scalars, which include speed and volume, and vectors can be graphically added to form a resultant, and vectors include displacement and velocity. This one is for the chapter 4. An object's motion remains unchanged unless it experiences unbalanced force, as described by Newton's first law. So the first one, this is Newton's first law. An object's motion is changed by a force which is proportional to the mass and acceleration, as described by Newton's second law. And is changed by a force which is exert action and reaction pairs, as described by Newton's third law. Thank you so much for watching.